Hello, y'all. Welcome to Bamm Raw TV. I'm Bamm, aka the 411 Giant. Now we're at part 3 of the legend Larry Hoover.
Discover the highs and lows of his journey, the alliances forged and broken, and the legacy he leaves behind. Larry Hoover's story isn't just a tale of crime. It's a testament to the human spirit and the resilience of the human soul. So buckle up and get ready for a roller coaster ride through the life and story of Larry Hoover, a true legend of Chicago.
First century vote is the political proponent of this whole evolutionary change. Okay? It's a gang force using a political banner. The concept is to make them niggas vote. Every time we do a extensive amount of time, it can have two effects. It can harden you, or it can make you think. And I thought, what have the thoughts like on a day-to-day basis in incarceration? Well, basically, you think about preparing yourself for the future and preparing yourself for one day when you will return to the streets. If you're prepared, if I'm prepared, I've got employment. I want to do something for the community. I see these kids coming in here every day with 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Their life is wasted just like I wasted mine. Because ideologies, street gangs, one teenager don't like the other teenager because the way he wears his hat. Because his ideology is different from his. A disciple don't like a vice lord. We're all black people.
Larry Hoover, through his lawyers seeking early release from multiple life sentences, a special program passed by Congress known as the First Step Act, in some cases allowing early release for certain rehabilitated prisoners. Wearing a tan long-sleeve shirt, glasses, and a gray beard, a shackled Larry Hoover in Florence, Colorado, appearing on the monitors in a Dirksen federal courtroom here in Chicago, the 73-year-old founder of the notorious Gangster Disciple street gang, testifying from the ADX supermax prison in Colorado. I'm a completely different person than the man who went to prison in 1997, Hoover said in a low voice. I'm very reflective here at ADX. You're locked up at least 21 hours a day. I have no desire to run the GDs or to be involved in any criminal activity. I'm past that part of my life. But the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois vehemently opposing the early release of Hoover, arguing that he still asserts leadership when it comes to the Gangster Disciples, also known as the GDs. In the courtroom, federal prosecutor Julia K. Schwartz arguing that Hoover's done more damage to the city of Chicago than any defendant that's come through here before. In today's government filing, the United States of America versus Larry Hoover, aka the Chairman and the King, the feds arguing, quote, Hoover has well earned his life sentence and he is not the type of defendant Congress intended to benefit in enacting the First Step Act. Indeed, if he were sentenced today, Hoover would receive the same mandatory life sentence. But after today's hearing, Larry Hoover's loved ones and attorneys, along with many supporters, arguing that Hoover is a changed man and can do much good if he's released.
It was good to hear his voice. It sounds like, to me, he was a bit nervous, but, you know, it's his life that he's dealing with.
He is not associated with a gang and hasn't been for many, many decades. But he probably has some insights into how we can make life better for young people so that they don't turn to gangs.
The parties will be back in court in October. At the Dirksen Federal Building, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
Brother Hoover, that is in prison today, you have him out there in Florence, Colorado. I read his life. He once was in criminal enterprise, but GD, he changed it to mean growth. and development. And when Larry Hoover changed the aim of the so-called gangster disciples to growth and development and began to guide them into absolutely good things, you arrested him in prison and gave him 4 or 5 life sentences. Why did you do that? You were afraid, because Larry Hoover had the ability to organize young black men in particular.
Hello, y'all. Welcome to Bamm Raw TV. I'm Bamm, aka the 411 Giant. Hey, hit that like button. I need y'all to subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you know when my next video coming out. Now we're at part 3 of the legend Larry Hoover. Now in part 3, I'm gonna do a recap on my first number 1. I talked about Larry Hoover and some of the things that he did coming up and how he started the GDs. And number 2, I talked about his board members, in which I was in 7 different USPs, and I was around many of his board members or the men that was in charge of the yard for the GDs. And now it takes me to where I met Larry Hoover. We was in Marion. We wasn't in Marion. We was in ADX together. And when I arrived at ADX, I was put over on the range with Malik Thomas, who is good dude, solid man out of DC. Him and Zulu, which they was hitmen for Rayford Edmonds, but Rayford Edmonds. So anyway, I'm on the range. And they had an incident in which with the Arian brothers, and a move tried to be made on Larry Hoover. And some of the DC guys, Wayne Perry, Malik, and all them Zulu, they stood strong, and they dealt with the situation and everything. So they had became kind of close knitted because of that. But they had moved Larry Hoover over to another part of the penitentiary on another range. So when they take me out to wreck, sometime because I was in the last cell, I would not have no room on that range. So they would take you and put you on another range. A lot of times I would get put on the range where Larry Hoover was. Now I didn't know him. They wasn't calling him. They don't call him Larry Hoover down there. They call him the old man. They refer to him as the old man. I heard that before I got there, but it really stuck down there. So we would go. I go on the range, and Malik or some of the other men on that range would tell me, "Hey man, holler at the old man and let the old man know everything cool over here, or take this here book over to the old man, or this or that going on." So I would take him a note, a letter, whatever. We go over there, and when I used to go over there and holler at him, I couldn't see him because number 1, you really don't look in another guy's cell. Even when he's talking to you. You're really not trying to look all around and see what he got up in the cell. You know, you keep it, you look at him going on, but it be kind of dark. It used to be kind of dark in the room, so I basically couldn't get no good image of it. You know, like he be talking to me and going on, and I listened to him, hey man, this and that, and, you know, I'll tell him any of his people came there, or any new arrivals on the range that we was on. And so he was, like I say, very, very intelligent. He had heard about me, and he heard about what I had did in aiding and embedding one of his GD men and everything. He always very appreciative that he do love his people. He love his people. And so he like, yeah, you need anything, blase, this. And he stayed on his legal work. He was definitely on his legal work and looking for an opportunity to get out. And I would say get out and do something different, do something better. You know what I'm saying? So that was kind of like his mindset. So we be talking kind of positive thing. Me, I was on a more or less, I was still angry over my lawsuit and on the reason that I was at ADX. I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there just because of the lawsuit. So I had a lot of anger. So I was going with the folks. You know what I'm saying? So I was going back and forth. I was beefing with the people. That's why they used to kind of move me around the way he did. But when he talked to the people, they had a respect. Most of them had a respect for him because he talked and he always kept himself on the level where they had to respect him. He didn't get belligerent with them going on, and they used to eat them up because they wanted him, I believe, I believe they wanted him to be animalistic. They wanted him to be just another gangbanger, just a angry black man or something like that. But he was sharp. He wasn't. When he talked, he would put them in their place, but he would put them in a place so strong and dignified that they would know how to accept that, because some of the words that you use and some of the things he used to break down to them, they knew it wasn't no lie. Some of the stuff they didn't even understand about the system. He'd be breaking it down to them, and they would get angry because he made them feel less than, because they like to felt over us. They like, oh, you ain't nothing but a criminal in that cell. But when he showed how smart he was, how intelligent he was, and how dignified he was, that he didn't stoop down to their level. So after going back and forth with him, taking different things up and hollering at him. So now he ended up getting on the range. On the range were up above me. When he got in the range above, they used to have to come down for wreck. And so I ended up talking to him a little bit. At that time, him and Shorty G had fortunately got close to each other, which is one of his board members. They were working on their legal work together. And as they were working on their legal work and everything, a counselor got mad at him because of his superior, I guess, mannerism or whatever. But she got mad at him, and she separated him and Shorty G, kept them separated and going on, so that they couldn't work on their legal work the way they was doing and everything. I asked him, I said, man, look here, what you want? You need some help, dealing with this and going on. But he's like, nah, Bam, I got it, because we had got pretty cool then. He said, I got this here, man. I can't fall into that trap. They trying to pull me out here to do this and do that and do that and going on like that. And so I said, oh, yeah, I respect that. When you got a certain image on you, you have to be careful over the little things you go out, because actually he been down there. Officially, he ain't supposed to have a shot. Larry Hoover and some of the noted men who they do not want to leave ADX. See, some other guys, you leave ADX, you go back to a compound. You're supposed to give them 5 years good conduct, because it's administrative lockdown. It's not a lockdown for something you done did. It's lockdown for security reasons. You know what I'm saying? Influencer reasons. So after 5 years, if you haven't caught a shot, an incident report, then they supposed to open it up for you to go in the yard. And they got people like the Unabomber, Silversteins, Larry Hoover, people like the Wayne Perry, people they never want to let out. So what they always do is they'll come up and say, well, when it's time for Larry Hoover to go up before the board to be sent back to a compound, they would come up and say, well, we see in one of your letters, you mentioned one of your GD's homeboys, you wrote a letter out on the street and you mentioned a GD, or you mentioned something like that there. So that show that you still in contact with gang affiliation. So we're going to deny you start out back over. Give us 5 more years and we'll rethink it. Or else, if they don't do it like that, they'll be like, okay, what's going on, Mr. Hoover? Okay, blase, and a dude to bring his tray. All of a sudden, he ain't had no problem, going on almost 5 years. And then one day, they'll bring his tray. When they bring his tray, they take his tray and they take it back. Now they'll come back and say, hey, we need to shake your cell down. We couldn't find your you couldn't find this on your tray. We couldn't you didn't get your you complained about a napkin going on. People saying that they gave him a shot for complaining that his napkin wasn't on there, so he had to be very careful. He'd be like, hey, y'all didn't bring me a napkin, or y'all didn't bring me this, anything, y'all didn't put my dessert on there. Anything where he just may say, hey man, could y'all get my dessert, y'all didn't put it. He'll get an incident report saying he threatened the people, telling them they better get his dessert down here, blah. So now that knocks him all the way back again. So these games that they were playing with, not just him, they playing it with the Unabombers, with all the people that they had no intent of letting out. So they'll just surprised to get a shot from an incident report from somebody. So after they had separated him and Shorty G, they were steady trying to get together because they was working on their case, and a lot of people was getting a little action on it. So like I said, he went without incident report almost every 5 years going on, but like I said, when I used to talk to him and everything, and me and him got a little closer going on. I started calling the old man, hey, what's going on, man? Y'all all right? You need this going on? And he listened, and I told him when I was looking at him, I said, man, I tell him who I was with. I was with Raheem. I was with Godfather. I was with here. He know all of them. He know all these people. And I go through it, and I used to look at him. I could see every last one of all his board members that I had been around, I could see elements of him in them. I see now that has the complete structure of Larry Hoover, but I can see a piece of him in every last one of them, whether they in his ideology, was in the way he moved. Larry Hoover could be, he's very strong. He got a very strong will. When he talks to the people, he ain't going for nothing that he don't believe in. But he talked to them in a way that they have to respect it, but he still don't buckle down. And I think they're more offended because he can be so dignified and polite when he put them in his place, and they don't know how to accept that. They looking for you to be belligerent, hollering, screaming, throwing stuff, and when he break them down so dignified and mature like, then they don't know how to accept that because it make them feel small. And he got script. I don't deny that. He's just a way of going back. He got intelligence. He's very intelligent. He got finesse. He got wisdom, and he got legal. He's very good with his legal work and everything. I see that he's very good with bringing people together. He can talk to you, make you feel part of something, make you feel good, make you, hey, let's get this range and everything. Hey, brother, would you pass this down here? It was a politeness that held people working together on the range. That way you can send everything down, everybody working, and he do have that ability. And I have seen that ability in his different board members, but I have never seen one with the complete package. Never seen one of them with a complete package. Raheem good with the legal work, Shorty G with the script, Godfather with the unified. All of them had a part of what he had, the whole package of. And so we like I said, we kept hollering at each other back and forth. Me and Wayne Perry, they know that if they put him and Wayne Perry over me, we just talk through the vent. And once they put him and Wayne Perry over me, I was less likely to team over some of the things I was teaming over because I didn't want them to get gassed up there. Because when they gassed me, the gas flowed up, and I know the people wasn't going to move them out the cell. So they deliberately put them over me to stop me from really gassing over any little situation, because I made anything I had coming, I made them give it to me. When COVID came out here, they give us some disinfectant that was watered down, and I'm looking at the police in the office. They got the full screen disinfectant because it's got the full color. I was watered down, looked like, I told them, listen, man, they got something out there killing people. Y'all gonna give me the same thing. Them folks did it. We finna shut this Jimmy down. I'm finna block up and you finna have the gas. And when they brought it to me, I said, no, that ain't good enough. You got to give it to everybody now. Because now you're trying to make it look like I work with y'all. Y'all will give it to everybody on gas. And they went around, they had to pass it to everybody. Larry Hoover, Wayne Pearson, man. They said, you're a son of a gun, man. He said, man, I respect that, man. You make it happen for everybody. I said, yeah, man, it ain't just about me, man. It's about us. They going to look out for their people. We going to look out for our people. So anyway, and eventually, these people who are against isolation, these organizations who are against this permanent isolation because of the mental that it affects people by when it affects them mentally, but it also being in that cell all day, it affects their bodies. Older guys are getting up there and they're having a lot of medical needs because they're not able to move around, they're not able to get the exercise. So the people against solitary confinement, they finally got a thing pushed. Well, all the old men, elder men, they had to move them to a range that allowed them, if they were eligible, to, if they were never going to leave there, you never going to let them leave there. They've been there 15, 20 years. Then you got to let them go out for 2 hours every day. They go out on the yard by 5 of them, 7 of them at a time. And they put them in a unit where they can come out and they kind of walk around a little bit to stop with some of these ailments and some of these medical needs and everything. So they had to take them through the protocol, see what they eligible, and they ended up putting Larry Hoover over there, Wayne Perry, or the White Melancholy York, or some of the Atlanta Bomber and all that. So they put the older guys over there. When they put them over there, opportunity came where I got them. When they put me over in the unit, was across from them. So I used to talk to them through the window. And when they come through, like going out for a medical, and my co-defendant had left, when my co-defendant had left, I had told him, I was telling Wayne Perry, I used to always kick it with like Wayne Perry because he could see me. Because Larry Hoover was on the other side of the unit. But Wayne Perry could see me when I was coming out the wreck. And I used to always mess with him. I used to always call him, I called him 6'7", and then he used to tell me, "No, you 6'7". You the one they got the, because I was on a 4-man walk. Actually, 4-man and 1 lieutenant walk. I had to be double cuffed and all that because of all my assaults, alleged assaults on officers and fighting with the folks. So Larry Hoover, when Larry Hoover was on the other end, I always used to tell Wayne Perry, give my respects to Larry Hoover and everything, to the old man. And then I told Wayne Perry that my co-defendant had left, and I said, that's it on my legal work. And going on like that there. I said, that's the only one you do my legal work. And he like, I said, man, they don't do nothing for me anyway. He said, man, let the old man do it, man. The old man will do it for you. All you got to do is, let me ask him for you. I said, man, I ain't worrying about that stuff. I'm in here, man. It ain't going to happen. Man, come on, man. Come on, man, 6'7", let me talk to, come on, man, let me talk to the old man, man. Oh, old man be glad to do something like that for you. I said, we're going to ask him. So he asked me, asked Larry Hoover, he said, hey, Bamm, he got some issues in the court going on like that, blase. And then, so he said, yeah, tell him, just give me the information, get everything like that, going on. So I give him the information, just to be doing something and everything. So he get the information, and I give him everything he needed, and I didn't bother him. I didn't say nothing about it. It didn't bother him. Then about probably 3 or 4 months later, maybe even 5, I get the paperwork from the court saying that I got relief action. I'm finna go home. And I'm like, what the? My co-defendant, I didn't squeeze him going on. I'm like, so I'm like, man, I thank God for that and everything like that. And so, I can only say, he took care of his business with it, but that's the kind of dude he is. People think that I heard things used about him that he manipulate the system going on. I think the man actually care about people. He like to help people. You know what I'm saying? Don't mean that he's a saint or nothing, but he do like to help people. So they try to misguide because some of the things that he done did have been associated with criminal activity. But I think as far as trying to keep stuff down and trying to help people in the community, the way he moved in there, it's more about looking out and going on. I understand how, I don't understand fully, but I can relate to the way that he do with his GD. They part of his family, and he like me, when he accept you in, you in. And I think he do want to do some positive stuff. Do I believe they're going to let him out? No, because he probably going to end up going to the state to do that time there. But I don't think they're going to let him out. I pray that they let him out. But likely they let him out. You know what I'm saying? And in fact, since I've been doing my podcast, King Tut, most of the men that I have, Champ and Tone, Tough Slim, most of the guys I have spoken about on my podcast has been released. And I actually talked to a few of them and going to do some things together with them. But Larry Hoover, I don't believe they're going to let him out because of the amount of power that he's able to have through his influence. And the fact that he knows the system. He has studied the system. He knows politics. He knows the legal system. And he's afraid of what he can expose. I think they're afraid of what he can expose and what he can instill in his people about going. He about going. He about voting. He about doing out. He's about winning using the same method the system used, using they tools and all that. He tell you about voting and get out there and support people. That's what he do. And I don't think they want him to have that opportunity because they won't be able to holler at him no more. Hey, what you doing is illegal. What you doing? If he doing everything illegal and still using his influence to make positive change in the community, I don't think that's what they want. I think they make too much money off the youngsters killing each other. I think they make too much money off youngsters going to jail. And so that's my reason for it. Do he deserve to be out? I think he do. I done seen his change and the things that he about for his people. But anyway, that's me and Larry Hoover. We got cool down there, and I thank him, for everything he ever did for me on my legal work and everything. And like I said, he's a very pronounced man. He's articulate. He's strong. He got a lot of good attributes and everything like that. Whatever may have happened in his past that got him to that point, I don't think he's that same person. He's a better version of any Larry Hoover he could ever been before. And much respect to him and his people. And going on, like I say, much love. And I thank y'all for tuning in on this. I'm going to get to talk about Wayne Perry and some of the other legends and going on. So thank you again for tuning in on Bamm Bamm Raw TV. Love you. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you'll know when my next video come out. Thank you.
Allegations were originally made that the Gangster disciples were responsible for the event which came to be known as the Leicester Street Massacre and was featured in 2 separate episodes of the first 48 on A&E. Cecil and his family were butchered by Dotson's own brother, Jesse, who eventually confessed to the Kayings. He was convicted on all counts and sentenced to 6 death sentences plus 120 years for the 3 children, his niece and nephews, that he attempted to K. The Gangster disciples were cleared of any involvement. On July 3, 2005, men claiming to be members of the Gangster disciples street gang Kayed Sergeant Juwan Johnson of the U.S. Army in the small town of Hohennecken, part of the city of Kaiserslautern, near Ramstein, Germany. Prosecutors accused U.S. Air Force Senior Airman Rico Williams of being the first one to start attacking Johnson in a 6-minute beating that he had to endure to join the gang. After the beating, Johnson asked one of his fellow gang members to take him to the hospital. Williams then ordered his gang members not to take him there. Johnson later died from multiple blunt force trauma injuries. According to the government's investigations, Williams was the leader of the gang set operating on base. Senior Airman Williams was sentenced to 22 years in prison, while other servicemen faced sentences ranging from 2 to 12 years. Some of the charges against the servicemen were Williams, second-degree M, and witness tampering; Air Force Staff Sergeant Jerome Jones, conspiracy to commit assault, gang participation, and other charges; Airman Nicholas Sims and Army Sergeant Rodney Howell, involuntary manslaughter; Private Terrence Norman, voluntary manslaughter. On July 21, 2020, a car pulled up to a funeral home in Chicago's Englewood area, and 2 gunmen infiltrated the property, opening fire. 15 people were wounded, with no reported fatalities. The funeral was for a victim killed a week prior and was allegedly involving a dispute between 2 Gangster disciples factions.
He's in prison. He is still viewed by police as the leader of the state's largest and most dangerous street gang. Joni Lum is here with the latest on today's raid. Joni?
Sonia and Dave, authorities believe Larry Hoover is running an enormous gang operation from inside the Dixon Correctional Center where he is housed. Chicago, Illinois, and IRS agents carried out a federal warrant at the offices of Save the Children Promotions, looking for evidence of income tax evasion and money laundering. The 44-year-old acknowledged leader of the Black Gangster disciples has been in prison since 1973 for a drug-related murder. At several parole hearings, he's claimed he's a changed man who is no longer violent. Today, police spent about 2 hours combing through the records of Save the Children on the South Side. They seized half a dozen cardboard boxes and file cabinets of financial records and also $7,000 in cash. Police say the charity organization has legitimate operations, but they also believe it is a front for an effort to get Hoover out of jail. Police believe that Hoover has been running drug trafficking in the city of Chicago from his jail cell, and that potential tax law violations may be a way to dismantle the gang. Police also went to the home of Hoover's wife, Wendy Jenkins, where they also just took some records.
And they haven't said yet exactly what they found in those records, or?
They found records with some amounts, but they did not find any drugs, and they haven't had any charges yet.
But as they got stronger, they also started doing bad things like selling drugs and hurting people. The Gangster Disciple Nation, often abbreviated as the GDs, formerly GDN, also known as Growth and Development, is an African-American street and prison gang which was formed in 1968 by Larry Hoover and David Barksdale.
Larry Hoover won't be in Chicago for court. The judge decided to do it over video later this month instead. He's been locked up for years in the supermax prison in Colorado. His lawyer said his hearing was his first shot since the late 90s, besides medical checkups, to get out of that infamous prison. Hoover helped start the Gangster Disciples Street Gang.
Old man made it to the step down, huh?
Yeah. Them and no four had to sit down for lunch.
Yeah, that's why I knew they been there together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a blessing. Hopefully that he'll catch a break. But I mean, I pray for it and all that, but I just don't see it happening. You know what I mean? But hopefully it do it, will. Because I've seen them do that so many times. They'll let you make it right there and keep you right there for 20, 30 years.
But once the people get behind you, man, sometimes that's what counts, you know.
Exactly.
Especially the right people, you know.
That's right. People need to rally behind old man, an honorable old man, and people get behind their own people and all this and that. He one of us.
Larry Hoover devised while he was in prison a structure that would mirror a corporate structure. He placed himself at the top as chairman of the board of directors. Immediately beneath him was the board of directors. Approximately half of those members were incarcerated, and they controlled the prison system. Half of them were unincarcerated. They controlled the Gangster Disciples operations. Larry Hoover somehow was communicating with the gang leaders on the street. Because one thing everybody was agreed on, everybody we talked to inside the gang, anybody we talked to who had observed the Gangster Disciples, Larry Hoover was calling the shot.
Because of the Fourth Amendment right, nobody has the right to come and put a buzz on another individual without his permission to go and hear any conversations for that evidence to be used.
Larry Hoover.
When Brother Hoover let it be known about the blueprint being published and put something that once was secret into the public domain, let everybody know that it was about evolution from gangster disciple to growth and development. So everybody didn't want to hear the social change for a positive end, they still stick to that gangster disciple. That's on them. What Larry Hoover is about, and those that's locked up is about, and the concept that I'm about, is growth and development, making the individual have a right to...
Larry Hoover spoke out again from his jail cell, this time to explain his role in founding United in Peace.
Well, I've been working over the past 2 years to try to redirect the energies of my immediate organization. I was one of the principal components in forging the United Peace Organization, designed to stop kids from killing each other. I know what they're doing. I see the mistakes. I've made the mistakes. I'm in a position to maybe correct them before they make the same mistakes I made.
Well, the big issue, the issue that when I reviewed everything that everybody, any lawyer that had anything to do with this case thought was the biggest issue of the case was the suppression of the tapes themselves. There's federal statutes that guide the process of the wiretaps, how these tapes are sealed, and they didn't follow, the government didn't follow the procedure that's dictated by the statute.
I think the Vienna tapes should not have been allowed, basically because we believe that the government obtained these tapes illegally, in violation of the wiretap laws, in violation of the U.S. Supreme Court laws dealing with wiretaps.
Basically, I think I've done my time. I paid my debt to society.
If there's anything that you could say to your son right now, what would you say to him?
Well, I would say to him, Larry, just pray. There's a God in heaven.
The 9 women and 3 men on the jury get a glimpse of what's ahead. The federal government alleges Hoover continues to run the Gangster Disciples from his prison cell. He and the 6 others are on trial accused of running a multi-million-dollar drug ring, dealing heroin, cocaine, and marijuana. Prosecutors also believe the defendants funneled drug money into political organizations like 21st Century Vote. Speaking for 2 hours, U.S. Attorney Ronald Safer tells jurors he has no doubt the evidence will prove guilt, including secretly taped audio recordings. Safer reveals the jury will hear for itself conversations between Hoover and fellow gang members.
Larry Hoover is an example of a man that was turning his life around. And as soon as he tried to turn his life around, they hit him with 6 life sentences. So I believe you say don't tear down the statues. Larry Hoover is a living statue. He's a beacon for us that needs to see his family, that needs to go out and represent. When you
man got 43 in, man. You know what I mean? And then if people open up their eyes and just look at his case, you'll see that he's been straight railroad. It's straight BS. The man in the joint, they give him that all this other time just so he can't make it to the free world. Because they scared of him because he got a little political power now. Because about him being conscious, that means that he can, sway the people towards a vote. And that's what they don't want. He ain't about all this stuff that they trying to put on him. He ain't with that self-destruction. You know what I mean? That doesn't even fit him. That's dumb stuff. That's what they want people to believe. You know what I mean? And then you got these ignorant youngsters out there that they'll be talking about, if he came home, what they'll do to him. This and that. That's stupidity to even talk like that. Once upon a time, they could have got away with that. You know what I mean? They couldn't get away with that being around nobody like myself, and I wouldn't accept it. You know what I mean? You can't even talk like that around me about the old man, I sacrifice everything I got. I'll be going back to Colorado and be happy about it. Because I'm not some malls they talking like that about the old man around me. If you read the judge's opinion, you'll see that the judge said, I'm going to do this, disagree with a colleague and everything. So I'm not going to railroad this guy just because of, what he's accused of. And sure, I'm sure he got a bad background and this and that. But I'm not going to railroad him. He still is worthy of the law. Man, I'd like to see him at least get out of there, but I'd like to see him make it to the world.
What's calling from? Larry Hoover. An inmate at a federal prison. This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. Hang up to decline the call or to accept. Dial 5 now. If you wish to block any future...
Hey.
Hey, what's happening?
How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. Optimistic.
Yes, it's a beautiful time to feel that way.
Yeah. Hey, all the principles of law that we got has been met, with that other thing of the day,
Exactly.
The only thing they is discretion,
Yeah.
We got to fight against that, but we won't know exactly what we up against until the response comes.
Right. Yeah, I believe it's a matter of time right now. I explained to your wife that some things are destined, and it'd be a matter of time before they come to fruition, and that's my belief. But in the meanwhile, we got to strategize all the way to the end, because I could see them trying to muddy the water, because even they see what's about to take place.
And that's why they want to get you tied up in this shit. I heard they put your name in the article and everything.
Yeah, but that's okay. I'm used to them doing that, and I don't mind standing where right is concerned. So I'm gonna figure out how to make all that work against them. Because all I ever been was a law-abiding citizen. So what I mean, and I wouldn't be down with something that's not right or illegal. So this is just the right thing to do.